Good morning and welcome to today's forum. The League of Women Voters of Sacramento County and the Metro Cable Channel 14 are pleased to bring you today's forum featuring candidates for Sacramento County Board of Supervisors, District Number 5. This particular region is the largest of the districts geographically in Sacramento County. It covers over 700 square miles and is from Rancho Cordova, the American River at Rancho Cordova, clear down to the Antioch Bridge, to give you some idea of how large this region is. These candidates are running for the June 8th primary election. My name is Tricia Erhammer. I'm a member of the League of Women Voters of Sacramento County, and it's my pleasure to be the moderator of this morning's forum. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization made up of both men and women that encourages active and informed voter participation. The League does not support nor oppose any candidate or party. Rather, the League provides information and moderates candidate forums such as this to help voters make informed choices on their ballots. The format of today's forum will be as follows. Each of the candidates will be offered a 1.5-minute opening. Next, the candidate will respond to questions from our panel with 1-minute limits. The questions have been submitted by the panelists and reviewed by the League of Women Voters. Finally, each candidate will be allowed a 1-minute closing. We will now be moving to today's forum featuring candidates running for District 5, Sacramento County Board of Supervisors. The candidates have drawn straws to see who goes first, and it's my pleasure to first introduce incumbent Don Natoli.
Good morning, Trish, and thank you all for giving me this opportunity to participate in the forum this morning. I would just say, as a lifelong resident of Sacramento County, it's an honor and a privilege to serve and to have served the people of this community as a member of the Board of Supervisors. During my term of office, I've dedicated my efforts to working on behalf of the people of the district and people throughout Sacramento County. As Trish said, the district is the geographically largest and one of the most diverse. And with more than 300,000 people in the district, there's a variety of issues which need to be addressed on a daily basis. Public safety and public protection are my top priorities. And during these challenging economic times, it is important that we remain focused on keeping our community safe and work to find the resources to do so. I take my fiscal responsibilities seriously and recognize that bringing the county's budget into balance will require extremely difficult decisions. But I also realize and recognize that now is the time to pursue savings and efficiencies which will allow us to look at program restructuring, consolidation of service delivery, and work to build partnerships with other agencies and community organizations. It's also important that we continue working diligently to retain and bring jobs to our community and seek to create an environment where businesses can prosper and thrive. I know Sacramento County is a good place to live and work, and I am committed to working with residents, community and business leaders, and folks from throughout the county and region to preserve and strengthen our neighborhoods and business districts, and to work to build a good quality of life for its residents and for all of us in Sacramento County. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Lovey Kirkland.
Good morning. Thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate each and every one of you for taking your time, and I appreciate the public for tuning in today. My name is Lovey Kirkland, and I'm running for Sacramento County Board of Supervisors, District 5. I've lived in this residence in this area for approximately 33 years, and I have seen the county grow from just dirt roads to the structures that we have now. I have seen a lot of changes that have been made, and I am hopeful for changes in the future. We have a lot to do in a short amount of time. Our economy is suffering. We need to have more jobs. We need to have more stability, and we're running out of time. People are losing their jobs. They're losing their homes on a daily basis, and it's time that somebody stands up for them, for you, for me, and for our children, and makes a change. And that's what I'm here for today. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. And also joining us today are questionnaires on our panel. Perry Hartline from Messenger Publishing Group and this includes Carmichael Times, American River Messenger, and Natomas Times. Cosmo Garvin from Sacramento News and Review, and Loretta Kalb from Sacramento Bee. Thank you, panelists, and also candidates for joining us for today's forum. Now we are ready to begin. Question 1. Perry, if you would please first direct the first question to Don.
Good person to direct questions to. Don, I'm concerned about Child Protective Services, CPS. It has been a problem-plagued department for some years. It's a very, very tough job. And I think we all understand that. Some of the things that people have to see and deal with on a daily basis. Mistakes have been made. You don't know, if you're in the field, what you're really looking at sometimes. We're looking now at the cuts that have been made. Will there be more cuts for CPS in the future, given the budget conditions right now? And this will put more children at risk. There isn't enough to cover or protect these children, in most cases from their parents. How is this going to be fixed? What are we going to do about it?
Well, thank you, Perry, for the question. No, there's no doubt that there are many children, certainly that are at risk in this community, and that the Child Protective Services, through their work with other agencies, certainly are the safeguard for many of those young people who otherwise may be at greater risk. Yes, we last year reduced significantly the number of social workers and support staff for Child Protective Services. And this year, at least in the budget that's been contemplated thus far, may see more reductions. I think one of the things we can do certainly is, and we've been doing this even as we speak, to make some program changes that allow us certainly to focus in those that are most at risk, to look at family preservation, and to do things that will hopefully keep some of those young people out of harm's way. But I do think that we're going to struggle in all our budget areas this year, and that we're going to find it very challenging to have sufficient funds to provide good support for families and children.
Are you seeing cuts in the future in that department?
There are potential cuts, and we're going to have to work through that in the upcoming budget deliberations in the next few weeks. But we are doing some restructuring. I think it has proven somewhat effective in finding some additional efficiencies and effectiveness in trying to address some of those issues.
I do see it as a public safety issue, and it falls into the category of, let's say, in some ways, the cuts that were made to probation. That also is a public safety issue. But this is then, you're saying that you'll do everything possible to protect what's left of CPS.
I will, and it is a public safety issue, no question about it.
Okay.
Thank you. Levy Kirkland.
I feel that our children are our future. Absolutely 100%. I think that we have put them in risk by cutting the programs that we have and taking away our social workers. I think if we would have started with trimming the fat at the top, we may have some more social workers in the front lines, and we would not be in these situations. I think there are definitely changes that need to be made, and I think restructuring is a great way to start. Why are we starting now? It's too late.
Well, you said cutting the fat at the top. Where would you cut?
Management.
And in which management departments would you cut? Or in which departments would you cut management?
I would start as a whole everywhere through Sacramento County, and we need to give our taxpayers a bigger bang for their buck. We need to trim the fat everywhere. We need to have more frontline staff.
Would you propose, say, wage reductions in management?
We need to renegotiate everything. Our county is suffering tremendously, and we need to renegotiate everything, every structure, every facet of the county, and we need to start from scratch.
You would put, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, we'll go on to the next question. Cosmo, if you will please direct the question first to Levy.
Hi, thanks. Ms. Kirkland, do you believe the county's current policies on medical marijuana dispensaries are working as they're written now? Would you change them? And would you, if you were elected to the Board of Supervisors, consider taxing medical marijuana the way city officials are contemplating right now?
Medical marijuana actually helps a lot of people. with certain ailments, and we definitely need to make that more accessible to those individuals, but we do need to watch over it very carefully.
Thank you. Don?
As far as medical marijuana dispensaries in the unincorporated area of the county, currently they're not permitted in any zone, and there still is conflict between state and federal laws. I'm sure Cosmo is aware. However, the voters of the state of California some years ago obviously made determination as it relates to those folks who are given the proper certification, allowed obviously to obtain medical marijuana. I do think, though, that the proposal that's on the ballot for November, I think it poses great problems for this state. I don't just see it as a tax matter. I do think that the issues relative to the conflicts in the state and federal law, but certainly to the availability and determinations that are made relative to who it's available to and so forth are problematic. And right now, local ordinance at the county level does not provide for medical marijuana dispensaries. Obviously, an issue that will probably come before our board in the months to come.
Thank you. Loretta, would you please direct the next question to Dawn?
Hi, Don.
Good morning, Lynn.
As you well know, the city of Elk Grove has spent the last couple of years looking at expansion south of Camera Road with a larger sphere of influence. Do you support the expansion as currently proposed outside the floodplain? They've already eliminated the floodplain. And if so, why? And if you do not support it, why not?
We've certainly been working with the city of Elk Grove on that issue. I say we, certainly being the county of Sacramento, but I think the local agency formation commission obviously has a pending matter before them. And with regards to the floodplain issue, the council just a few weeks ago, as you're well aware, reversed their initial determination that they wanted to include in their sphere the area in the floodplain on the east side of Highway 99. The area on the west side between Cameron and Essinger is outside the floodplain. It certainly is outside the county's urban services boundary, but I do believe that cities going through the appropriate process have the ability to look at how they could logically expand their boundaries. There are issues obviously that relate to revenue determinations, the habitat conservation program, and obviously the issues that have been raised within the city framework relative to how much land is necessary for future city growth. But I do think cities have the right to look at their future determination. They need to work with agencies, like not just the county, but other agencies as well. And it's a matter that I'm sure over the course of the next few months, we're going to have to continue to work with the city to find out what's the best approach there.
Certainly they have the ability to follow that process, but what are your instincts about whether you like what they're doing?
Well, I think that the city has taken a view of what they think is needed for their ultimate urban development. And I think part of the conversation is what is that interface, when should it happen? And the sphere of influence is only the first step, as you know, Loretta, to actually going forward annexation. It could be many years before they annex if they were to move the sphere. So I do think the city has taken an approach, one with working with the county. And I'm not so troubled by the expansion, but I think certainly timing, the development of infrastructure in that area, and when, I think, is more the question of how much and where. I think the where is that area that they're looking at, because other areas they are restricted, floodplains and so forth.
Thank you. And Levy, if you will also answer the same question.
Thank you very much. I believe the sphere of influence is a waste of resources and time at this time. I think that we have other pressing issues that we need to be working on and that we need to be looking at, such as public safety. We need to be doing that as opposed to more development.
Loretta, do you have any follow-up question for Levy on that?
You live in Wilton?
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
And so you're kind of in alignment with their thinking in terms of keeping Elk Grove as far away from Wilton as possible?
Yes.
Okay.
We need to preserve what we have for our future and for our children.
Okay.
Thank you. Perry, back to you. And if you will direct the next question first to Levy Kirkland.
The county must cut $166 million in June. This brings me back to your original statement about cutting the fat on management, for example. What about taxes, on the other hand? Would you raise taxes?
I would not.
You would not. Then what would you do?
I would go in and restructure our programs and our contracts that we currently have. The county has already taken much money from our public, and you cannot take money from people that don't have it anymore. We need to go back and restructure our way of thinking. We need to start from scratch. We can't take money from a turnip.
I understand that, and I feel like a turnip most of the time myself. The issue I think that might help you there, this is just my advice, is consolidation with the
Absolutely.
city and county working together.
Absolutely.
But there's a territoriality problem, I believe.
We need to get beyond that. We need to work together for the sake of our economy.
Thank you. Don, would you please answer the same question?
Well, no question that the $166 million gap that needs to be closed this year is going to be extremely difficult in light of that over $200 million in reductions that have been taken over the last year and a half or last 2 years of budget considerations. Part of the effort is we certainly are still talking with our labor organizations to see if there can be some agreement relative to contract modifications that might provide some offset to that number. But even if those were to be achieved, we would still be looking in excess of $100 million in reductions. And my view is that we've done about all we can do relative to trying to look at certainly the one-time fixes and any short-term revenue opportunities, and that we really do need to bring our expenditures in line with our revenues. And that's going to take, as I said earlier in my opening statement, it's going to take some restructuring in county, and it will mean it's unavoidable in my view that we're going to have additional layoffs. Would also mean that we're probably going to eliminate some service functions. But I see opportunities, I said too, to look at consolidations. Certainly with the city of Sacramento, we've been talking very actively about animal care, certainly looking at our solid waste operations. And I think there's some opportunities within the permitting framework and in some other municipal service type activities. But that is not as easily done as it is said. But I do think this provides that opportunity, and that we can, and I see my time's up, so with that,
Thank you.
I'll stop.
Thank you. Cosmo, would you please direct the next question first to Don?
So Don, okay, sure. I just want to change gears a little bit. I'm wondering if you think the state's Global Warming Solutions Act, AB 32, is a net job creator or a net job killer for the local economy? And you know, what obligation does the county have to help reduce greenhouse gases?
I would just say I think certainly the verdict is still out as whether it's going to be a net job creator or net job killer. I know there's a lot of debate, obviously, at state level, and I think voters will probably at some point may weigh in with if there's an initiative that qualifies for the ballot. But I do see lots of opportunities in the area of alternative energy. I know that the county has worked through its economic development branch to bring jobs to the region, working with the city and SMUD and some of our other partners, the Area Commerce and Trade Organization. And so I think there are tremendous opportunities, certainly recognizing it's going to put more regulations and will cause, I think, a good deal of grief for some industries and some activities. On the other hand, I think it has the opportunity to hopefully have us be smarter about our energy usage, but also hopefully grow some jobs in other sectors of our economy. So there are some opportunities. And the county does have a responsibility through air quality and through compliance to either require compliance in some cases, but obviously to comply.
Thank you. Levy Kirkland.
I think we need a more hands-off government. We don't need to be told what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. I do think that this does need to go to the voters.
Okay, thank you. Loretta? would you-
Okay, I'm sorry, to Levy.
Yes, to Levy.
Levy, when funds do get restored over time and more money is available, what in county government would you restore first, and what would you restore last?
Well, first of all, I think we would restore public safety. That would be one of the first ones. Main one, public safety.
And last, what would you bring in last?
It's a good question because I think our safety is most important. Lastly, I would bring in back-end management in the departments themselves.
Okay.
Thank you. Don?
Well, I certainly would concur that public safety and public protection, and I think the umbrella of that includes certainly the sheriff and the district attorney, our probation department, our child protective and adult protective services. Those are areas where either the general population and/or populations that are frail and at great risk, and in many cases very vulnerable, with the reductions that we've taken thus far and will take, there are certainly ones that we would have to, I think, address. As we saw, some restoration of funding. I do think some of the things that we may have done in the past relate to, neighborhood services, which are very important. Don't get me wrong on that. Certainly some of the general county functions that, again, are very important to the day-to-day activities of providing support for public safety, public protection, and a lot of the other functions of the county and service delivery. Some of those will probably be the last ones to be restored, even though they're important. But in the realm of things, I think fall to a lesser priority than public safety and public protection.
Describe neighborhood services.
Well, I think that some of the things that we've done to, basically some of the aesthetics that are important, certainly that relate to code enforcement is very, very important, but code enforcement activities, because if you don't have those, obviously the blight, but those are types of things that if we don't have a funding stream that's dedicated to support them, probably will be some of those that fall in behind some of the other activities that would receive funding first.
Thank you. And Perry, we can ask one more question, no follow-ups.
Okay. My
And if
question
you will
is,
direct, it's first to Don.
my question, Don,
Yes, Perry.
is this. I see that you are both very much in agreement on things. What separates you from any other candidate? Ms. Kirkland, for example.
Well, I think that one of the things that separates the two candidates here today is that I bring 31 years of experience that I believe provides me a good understanding of the issues facing the district, certainly provide me, I think, the knowledge that one needs to apply when working through issues like we've been asked about here this morning. But I also say that part of what I think distinguishes my candidacy is that I am a person who's very dedicated to public service, that I believe in serving the people, that I represent the people, that I know I stand before the voters at election time. I'm proud of my record of service, and I believe that I can be and have been an effective voice for the people of the district, and that I look forward to the opportunity to continue serving the people of the district.
Thank you. And Levy Kirkland?
I believe what separates me from the other candidate is a new set of eyes, a new way of going about things, a new directive. I also believe that we've had a decade and a half, and we're where we're at today. It's about change, and it's about time, and we don't have any time.
Thank you. That concludes the question and answer portion of today's forum, and now we move to closing statements. Don Natoli?
Thank you, Tricia. Well, I want to first thank the League of Women Voters, our distinguished panelists, and Metro Cable 14 and you, Tricia, for sponsoring and participating in the forum here today. I guess I would just also be remiss if I didn't express my thanks and gratitude to the voters of the people and the people of the 5th District who have, for 16 years, given me the opportunity to serve and work on their behalf. And I would say that that I know the job of county supervisor. It's important work. It's good work, and it's hard work. And I do believe that there's a difference between wanting to do the job and knowing how to get the job done. I'm proud to represent Sacramento County's 5th District and its people, and I believe that my years of experience in serving the people of Sacramento County and my ability to foster cooperation and my willingness to continue serving and desire to effectively represent and serve the people of the county qualify me and uniquely qualify me to serve, and I would look forward to the opportunity to do so for years to come. Thank you.
Thank you. And Levy Kirkland?
I'd like to thank everybody here today as well, and as well as Dawn for being here today. I also want to thank the public for listening and know that you have a choice. It doesn't have to be the same thing over and over again. We can have change. We can have real change today by your vote. We don't need more taxes. What we do need is more efficiencies in the county. We have a leaking sieve that we need to plug, and we need to plug it now. We don't have another decade to wait to make change. Again, I'm going to say, it's about change, and it is about time. Help me make the community a better location. And thank you so much.
Thank you. And one more time, I'd like to introduce the candidates for, this is District 5, Board of Supervisors for Sacramento County, incumbent Don Natoli, and Lovey Kirkland.
Thank you.
I'd also like to thank our panelists who have joined us today, and the many volunteers who have made today possible. There are 2 websites for voters to check for information about the June 8th primary election. Complete listings of candidates and propositions, including the pros and cons for each proposition, are available at smartvoter.org, and also the League's website at LWVSacramento.org. This forum and other candidates' forums and ballot proposition analysis will be rebroadcast on Channel 14 Metro Cable. You may visit www.sacmetrocable.tv for the complete schedule. On behalf of the League of Women Voters of Sacramento County and the Sacramento Metropolitan Cable Commission, I thank the candidates and the panelists for participating in today's forum. This forum has been designed to impart information to you, the voter, in accordance with our belief that a democratic government depends on the informed and active participation of its citizens. We hope that the insights you've gained from this morning's forum will help you cast an informed vote on June 8th. The League of Women Voters is where hands-on work to safeguard democracy leads to civic improvement. Please remember to vote Tuesday, June 8th, and help this democracy thrive. Thank you and have a good day.